Miss Jordan. I'm coming to y'all from the ranch today. And today we're going to be talking about a character named Zacchaeus, or Zach for short. This is Zacchaeus, our horse, and he is named that because he is shorter than all of the other horses out here. We are going to jump into our story. In the Bible times, there are these people called tax collectors, and tax collectors were not liked by anybody because not only did they take the taxes from people, but they took more than what they were supposed to. Well, Zacchaeus, he was a tax collector, so he wasn't well liked and he wasn't a good guy. But one day Jesus was coming through town and he was gonna talk to some people in a town called Jericho. Bunch of people gathered around, and Zacchaeus, remember we said he was really short? Well, he couldn't see. So he had to climb up in a tree in order to be able to see Jesus. And when he did, Jesus saw him. Now, Jesus could have said, Zacchaeus, I know what you've been doing. I know you've been stealing money from everybody. I know how you've been robbing people and it's not right. And he could have called him out right there. But he didn't. He said, Zacchaeus, come down from there, for I'm going to your house today. Now, Jesus, being Jesus, we wouldn't think he would want to be associated with someone like Zacchaeus. That was so crooked and so bad. But Jesus didn't care. What he cared about was Zacchaeus. And so he went to his house and he ate dinner with him. And in this process, Zacchaeus changed his heart. He gave half of everything that he had to the poor, and then he paid back everybody that he had taken money from 4 times what he had taken from them. So he turned from a bad guy into someone that was after God's own heart because Jesus had mercy on him. Mercy means that Jesus was going to sit down and spend time with him, even though Zacchaeus did nothing to deserve it. He wasn't going to give him the judgment that he deserved, but rather he was going to seek out a relationship with him. Today we're going to talk about how we can do this with other people too. Jesus was famous for eating with people that other people didn't think that he should be eating with. He ate with tax collectors and sinners, and he had all of these people around him, that the Pharisees of those days. Remember, the Pharisees are the ones that thought that they knew everything about God's laws, but they didn't get the part of having a relationship with Jesus. So they missed the complete point of what Jesus stood for and what God was gonna do through the Bible. The Pharisees did not like Jesus associating with these people, and they would call him out on it. One day Jesus actually tells them, I desire mercy, not sacrifice. Meaning you can do everything right in your entire life. You can follow all the rules, you can feed people, you can do whatever you want, but if you don't have mercy in your life and you don't have a relationship with God and you don't have that ability to extend mercy to other people, you're missing the whole point of the gospel. How Jesus did this is he brought himself to where people were. Accepted people the moment that he met them. It didn't matter what their behavior was like. The moment Jesus met them, he accepted them and they belonged to him. Through his acceptance, the people believed because of how he treated them and his relationship with them. And then through them believing, they became something different, just like Zacchaeus. We can do this in our own lives. When people maybe don't act exactly like we do and they maybe do the wrong things, sometimes it's because they don't have a relationship with Jesus. So we can't expect people to act saved when they're still lost. What we can do is we can go in and we can show kindness to them, we can show friendship to them, and we can just hang out with them and be around them when nobody else wants to. This is what mercy looks like. For me, a good example of mercy that I've seen in my own life was a story that happened with my dad. I have 3 dogs, and one time one of them got really sick in his kennel. Like, an explosion of things that you don't want to see exploded up the wall, all over his bed, everywhere, okay? And I just didn't know what to do. I couldn't move the kennel because it was too heavy and it was nasty and I was gagging. It was disgusting, right? So I did the only thing I knew how to do, and I called my dad. It was my dog, not his dog, so it's my mess to clean up, but my dad loves me. And so he came and he actually cleaned the whole thing up by himself and just had me there holding the light for him. God's kind of the same way. Sometimes we mess up and it's a big mess. And it's our mess because we've done it and it's our responsibility. Sometimes we want to handle that on our own, but God doesn't operate like that. He says, tell me about it. Come to me, show me, and I will come and I'll help you clean it all up. And I've already done the big part, right? God's forgiven us. Jesus died on the cross for us so that we could be forgiven. That's the biggest part that could ever be done. He's done all the hard stuff. All we have to do is do the little things, like repent, turn back to him, come to him. Let him help us clean things up. Let him walk beside us. Another story in the Bible that shows mercy really well happened with a woman that is called the woman caught in adultery. And adultery just means that there still are, there's marriage covenants, meaning there are laws that God expects us to uphold, and there are things that he expects us to do in a marriage. One of them is to just be faithful to our spouse. And this lady, she started acting like somebody else was her husband. That was not her husband. She got caught betraying her marriage. And when she did that, they brought her out into the public square and they were going to stone her, meaning throw rocks at her because of what she had done. And they thought this was this terrible thing, she needed to be punished for it. And they brought her before Jesus, and she's in this just state of brokenness. And they asked Jesus basically what should be done with her. And Jesus says to them, let he who is without sin, meaning let the person that has never sinned before, cast the first stone. Who standing around there was the person that had never sinned? Jesus. That's the only one. Everyone else there probably had at least told a white lie or done something in their lives, hit somebody, gotten angry, said something. Everybody else around there had sinned. Jesus was the only one that had not sinned. So whenever he's saying that, he's saying, I'm the one that could throw the first stone. But Jesus says something to her. He says, I don't condemn you. Meaning Jesus wasn't there to judge her. He was there to restore her. He cares so much about her that he just wanted to fix her and to help her to have a new life and to have a relationship with him. When Jesus comes into our lives, it's this whole concept of relationship over everything else. Meaning when we mess up, we don't have to be scared to tell him. We can go to him right away because he's the only one that can help fix this mess that we're in. And he's the only one that can assist us. And mercy looks like bringing yourself into the place where somebody else is. So the word mercy stems from two original words, and those two words meant heart and misery. So it meant to bring your heart into the misery of somebody else. How this looks is if somebody's struggling with something, mercy means we're going to be right there with them, helping them every step of the way. We're going to bring our heart into their troubles. So this week we can do that with the people around us. Pay attention to how people are struggling, even if they don't know Jesus and they don't act right and they're acting completely different than how you were taught to act. You can still show mercy to them and you can still develop a relationship with them. And through that relationship, through showing them kindness and showing them how Jesus would treat them and how Jesus did treat people that didn't know him and that were involved in sin, we can come to a place where we can share Jesus with them through our actions and through loving them. And then they can turn and be different, like Zacchaeus and like the woman that we just learned about. So there's so much that we can learn from the stories of how Jesus just dealt with people. So this week, I want to encourage you guys, be looking around for ways to show mercy and be thanking God every day that he's shown mercy to you. Talk with him, develop your relationship deeper with God, and don't care what everyone else says. Hang out with the people that God tells you to hang out with. Meaning, even if they act a little different and you think that your friends are going to judge you for inviting them over to your house or for going and playing soccer with somebody that everyone else thinks is different, do it because Jesus would. And we're supposed to be like Jesus, not anybody else. I love y'all, praying for y'all always, and I hope to see y'all soon. Bye, guys.